Hello, this is Dylan Berry. Welcome to Music Industry Talks, proudly presented by Nordic LA and with the support of Royal Unibrew. Thank you very much, Carson and Freddie over at Royal, for helping us make this happen. Today, we bring in two music industry experts, one from the United States, one from Denmark, to talk about issues in the music industry, our current situation, and where we go from here. I have Eli Bruggemann. He is the music director of Saturday Night Live and one hell of a piano player. I also have Signe Tobiassen. She is the former bass player of Nelson Can, Danish Rockstar royalty in the house. She's also worked as the editor-in-chief of Copenhagen College Radio. She's owned her own label. She's done a bunch of really cool things in the music business. So I'm glad to have them both on to shed their insights on what's happening and get into a discussion about where the industry is going from here. So let's get into it. So Eli is a musician, Signe is a musician. Eli's found a new path in the last, 10 years at SNL, being the music director of Saturday Night Live. I just want to basically ask you first, Eli, what are you up to? What are you working on these days? This summer I'm working on labor of love stuff.
There's no gigs. So like typically with SNL, we'll shoot our show between the end of September and May. So between May and September, I've always picked up kind of random gigs, a lot of benefit gigs, like musical directing, kind of corporate stuff, but none of that stuff is happening this year. And also not too many people are really getting together in the studio to make records right now. It's all very sort of email based stuff. And so, I'm taking the opportunity to tie up some loose ends. Every musician has a gazillion projects that they started and never finished. And so I'm trying to tie up all those loose ends.
Signe, what's different about your business right now? I know you've evolved into different verticals in music, from being a performer to being recording to working in IT and other things. What has it been like with your transition in the industry, and how is it affected now, and how are you changing now?
Currently, I work for this IT company called musikundervisning.dk. And it's basically an Airbnb for music lessons. So it's like a platform business, and we facilitate the meeting between a student and teacher. Last year, we launched online lessons, and it was not a hit. I'll tell you that. It was not very popular, but particularly the teachers did not like it. They were like, no, we hate it. They're used to using all of their senses when they teach. It's not just about hearing, it's about feeling and eye contact and grooves and stuff like that they felt like they had to be in the room with the person. And then Corona hit, and we saw growth rates that were through the roof.
What has changed in the industry is the different ways and the different experiences in which people experience music. You've got the Travis Scott in Fortnite. You've got DJs playing music from other people that fill festivals. You have bands like U2 and Rolling Stones that still go out and draw big crowds, and Nelson Can and all these great bands. But what's different now is there's a lot more ways to consume entertainment. And so what we're struggling with, I guess, when you're at the age that Eli and I are at, is that how we appreciate music may be different than my son, who's used to watching other people play video games, which never in my life I thought would be something I would want to do.
I think if I didn't consume in a different way than my parents, and if your kids didn't consume in a different way than you, then I would be really worried.
I think that, the interesting thing about human beings is that it is a consumer's market. And if people are consuming frivolous music, what does that say about our society?
Yeah.
And right now,
art is a mirror of society.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think now is an opportunity where people are actually feeling things deeply. I mean, I've never seen so many people on the street that were fighting for race and gender equality that pretty much are the haves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fighting for someone else.
Yeah, fighting for someone else. And that takes courage for people to do, because they're in their little socioeconomic bubble. And I think that will be translated into music, and seeing artists like Taylor Swift, who, admittedly comes from white privilege. She spent $2 million to break into the music industry, but she's able to influence others. And I think that there's a responsibility now to do that. Getting back to the music industry, insights that can help people. What I'm hearing from both of you pretty loud and clear is that it's difficult to make a living in a singular way in the music industry. So if you're going to take that and turn it into something productive, what ways can you diversify to create multiple revenue streams in the music industry?
For me, like, how do I create multiple revenue streams? Like it was always about multiple revenue streams, which is basically saying yes to every gig that came my way. Like, you want me to play a salsa gig? I'll do it. You want me to make a trap beat? I'll do it. So it's about, fake it till you make it. Just say that you can do everything. What
I think is that you need to be comfortable doing what you're doing, because that makes you easier to be around, and it makes you like make better decisions for yourself and for your career. I've seen some
incredibly successful people be completely miserable in everything that they do. And I've seen the opposite. I've seen the opposite too. But that's a really great point, is that, be comfortable with what you've chosen and committed to in your life. That's an awesome point. There's this whole swath of people, and I'm speaking for them right now, that let their music do the talking. They're not networkers naturally. They're not going to, find platforms outside of what it is they do. They're going to make music really well, because that's, at the end of the day, why there is an industry, which is because people really get into what they do.
Totally.
And not good at that other stuff.
And I think there is a tendency amongst people who've done what we've done to glorify it. And like be like, no, you need to be your own manager, and you need to know how to run a label, at least so that you know that your label is doing the right thing. And like, you need to be able to control your own business, right? And we tend to glorify that, but it's definitely not the only way to do it.
Yeah, but that and come up with a good bass part. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I think it's important to acknowledge that without that instrument in place, no one hears that music.
No one hears it. Yeah. I know.
So
it's
whether you can do it yourself. Yeah. So I think the balance is even if you don't do it, you know that you don't do it well. And I know many musicians that struggle with this. Some, some are my best friends, that you still have to understand that it's important to figure out how to crack that code, even if you find someone who can help you crack that code. But just acknowledge that could be a barrier to why your music's not getting heard by people. There's something will appeal to anyone. I mean, if American Idol and America's Got Talent and all these shows have shown us anything, is if you expose it to millions of people, somebody in that is going to like it, right? There's a market for everything. It might not be a big market, it might be a little market. Of course, there's the herd mentality. It's a human fallacy, right? That if someone likes it, I should like it too. And so when you hit mainstream, it cascades and you get more and more, you get the Drake syndrome.
But I think also like the way that the industry works, like, of course, a lot of it is the same all over the world, but I think they're also like, I think the American industry is a lot different from the Danish industry.
Much less cooler by what I've seen.
I think it's, important that people hear these things, because it's important to hear them from successful musicians like you, to also say how difficult it is to even get to that level, and beyond it. Like, where do you go next? I think my biggest takeaway from this talk is that you have to diversify what you're doing, and you have to have good people around you, and you have to be comfortable with who you are and what you bring to the table. And then I think the rest works itself out with a bunch of hard work and failing constantly until you win.
Yeah, make something every day.
Yeah.
Like make, even if it's like a writing an email to doing something on the business side, like if you get in the habit of doing something every day that you're just throwing your vibration into this box.
And one thing people don't do is read something every day.
Google
something. You will learn so much online.
Educate yourself as well, like on societal issues, and bring it into your art. Like, make something relevant.
right, so Mr. Eli Bruggemann, music director of Saturday Night Live, thank you very much for joining us on this virtual music industry talk. Signe Tobiassen, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your insights, and I look forward to meeting you in Denmark next time I'm over there.
Yay! Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. This is Music Industry Talks. We will be back with another episode next week. Thank you for dialing in. I'm going to hit my little delete button and delete you all momentarily from my life. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.